Hello, everybody. Welcome to this podcast, this video. Hello, Lou. How you doing? I'm going to go through this really quick. I'm not going to wait for people to show up. For those of you that are watching this not on the live stream, uh, quick and easy. Look in the description down below of what we're going to talk about. That's the quick and dirty. All I'm going to do in this video is, hey, Tony. All I'm going to do is in this video go through what's going on Tuesday, the bills that are going to be heard relating to guns, gun rights, gun control, et cetera, et cetera. There are six bills that are being heard on Tuesday at this point. There might be more later. I just checked. There are no more bills that I see that are scheduled so far next week, but we might know more on Monday. And then what I'm going to do quickly in this video is explain to you why we say oppose or support each of those. So let's go ahead and get to this. First bill is HB 165. Now, Ann Johnson of Harris County is a liberal. She's a leftist. And normally we do not obviously support most of the bills that she files. This one is HB 165 relating to the prosecution of and punishment for an aggravated assault occurring as part of a mass shooting. It increases the criminal penalty. Now, I have always said, and I think, and Open Carry Texas believes that when you use a firearm to commit a violent crime, there should be a very harsh sentence. Harsh punishment is what deters people from doing that in many times. But let me tell you why I support this, because if you go in there, now it just talks about, what is a mass shooting for the purposes of this section. But down here, if a single criminal action, the accused is found guilty. So in other words, there is due process there. If they're found guilty of, separate killings in a mass shooting, for example, 3 capital murder offenses for Tom, Dick, and Harry, instead of those, whatever that sentence being 10 years for each one, being served concurrently, what this does is it requires those sentences to run consecutively. And I think having a tougher sentence for people who murder others who are convicted, remember, you got to be found guilty. If you are convicted of more than one count of murder during a mass shooting, I do think that they should run consecutive. I think if you killed 3 people, you should serve 10 years for the first person, 10 years for the second person, and 10 years for the third person, instead of just spending 10 years. So this has nothing to do with red flags. All this changes in here is that the sentences should run consecutively. That's literally all this bill does, as you can see. It adds the part about a mass shooting. So, there's some small verbiage cleanup. You can go look at the bill yourself, since I'm kind of glossing over this. But the reason that we are supporting this bill, and we'll put it in green up here if we support it, it'll be red if we don't. All it does is it defines a mass shooting for the purposes of this section. And then it says that if you're found guilty of more than one murder during a mass killing, then those sentences are consecutive, not concurrent. And I think anyone should be able to support that. I'm all for tough sentences. I'm not for other things, as you'll see. All right, next one, 544. This is Johnson of Dallas, as opposed to Johnson of Harris, another liberal. HB 544. This is one that we oppose. Why? Because it sends more stuff to the NICS system. The NICS system is incredibly malmanaged. There is, depending on which studies you look at, between an 80 and 90% false positive rate. Now we're going to throw even more stuff into the NICS system. Quite frankly, I think that we need to get rid of the NICS system altogether. I don't believe in background checks, because if you're safe enough to be in society, then you should be safe enough to have your rights. If you aren't safe enough to be in society, then you should be in jail. And if that's the case, then you don't need a background check, because everybody that's not in jail is safe for society. So we oppose this because it just strengthens and broadens the NICS system. You can, again, go and read this one for yourself. It also sort of creates, this is your red flag section here. It creates a red flag for a conviction. Now, there is, again, due process. There's due process there, but I don't care. If a person is convicted of a crime and they're not in jail, okay, then they should have their rights reinstated, even if it's family violence and they get out of jail. Once someone has served their time, they've served their time. So we oppose 544 for that reason. Here's your red flag section down here. That's all that 544 is. So naturally we oppose this one. So if you go, you can oppose. Again, you can just copy and paste in the description below if you're wondering. If you agree with my assessments after all of these, you can just copy and paste down below. All right, 902 by Representative or Chairman Joe Moody. Of course, we say no. All this does is not only is it illegal, because right now it's supposedly illegal to transfer a firearm to a prohibited person, right? Well, what this does is it adds, not only is it illegal to transfer firearms, but he wants to make it a crime just to give somebody a magazine. And this is as a loan or a gift. Like, it's absurd. So of course, this is just more gun control. We don't believe in more gun control. We don't believe that there should be prohibited persons, because if you are safe enough to be in society, you're safe enough to have your gun rights back. So this is one of the other bills that is going to be talked about on Tuesday. That's, again, House Bill 902. It means you can't even give a flipping magazine to someone that you know or have reason to know or should know is a prohibited person. What next? Are we going to say we can't give them slings? Yeah, it's getting crazy, folks. All right, this is the only other bill that we support. This is by Cole Hefner, HB 1760. This is essentially getting rid of the gun-free school zone for license holders. Obviously, I'd like to get rid of gun-free school zones for anybody, but any bill that's going to expand liberty, even if it only expands it a little bit, even though I want more, we're going to support. So what this does is it clarifies 4603, which is very important, because there's a case right now out in Laredo where a man went to the tax office to pay his school taxes. And this is weird because I've never heard of this before this case happened. The ISD, it's called United ISD. United ISD has a tax office, and because they own that tax office, they're supposedly being considered an educational institution. Well, the problem is 4603 does not define educational institution. So let me tell you why we are supporting this one. First of all, it changes not just the physical premises, but just the premises, which is already defined as, the building itself of a school or post-secondary. Now, these are going to be defined here in a second. Or a building owned by or under the control of a school or post-secondary educational institution. So this will apply. This will specifically apply, as you're going to see, and allow people to carry onto buildings that might not even be a school, but it's a building that's owned by that school district. Okay. And I'll get into the case law about that here in a second. So not only does it say school, but it says post-secondary, which is colleges. Here, pursuant to regular, if you get permission, now this says if you can get written permission, then by all means, you can carry. Or and again, keep in mind, this is a school, okay, and a post-secondary, which is like a college. So if you get written permission from someone at the school, generally like a principal, that won't apply, that it's a crime to carry onto these things. Or if you have an LTC, okay, if you have an LTC, that doesn't, 1760 does not apply. Or I'm sorry, then you will not, it's okay. It's legal to carry. Okay. It gets rid of that gun control there. And again, like I said, there's a bunch of different changes to how they're wording stuff. Now, if you look at 4603 right now, and I didn't bring up the code, but just trust me on this, you can go and look at Penal Code 4603, places where weapons are prohibited. If you go and look right now where it talks about that it is prohibited to carry a firearm on a school or educational institution, the word educational institution is not defined. So what this is going to do here is it's going to define that term, okay? Post-secondary educational institution means an institution of higher education or a private or independent institution of higher education. You see that? Now, they are leaving stuff in there. They don't take out the part where at least private, if it's a private institution, they still have to post signage. So this doesn't get around that private property right, but it does just make very clear that when we're talking about post-secondary educational institution, instead of educational institution, that means that the school, for example, the ISD in Laredo would not apply like they're trying to do right now. They're trying to arrest a man. And so what does school mean? Now that we've changed the word educational institution to post-secondary educational institution, which is a college, now what does school mean? Because they'll just say that the ISD is the school, but it means that it is, an accredited primary or secondary school. So tax offices would not apply. And then this allows for you to be able to carry into a school or into a university or college, as long as one of two things is true. You have written permission, or, there are regulations that allow it, or you're licensed to carry. You have an LCC under 411. So this won't apply to the constitutional carry still. But if you do have an LTC, you'll be able to carry into a school. And why not? Licensed carry holders are 6.5 times less likely to commit a crime or a violent act than a police officer is. All right. Next bill is 2454 by Guillen. Obviously, we oppose this one. This is just another one of those knowingly acquiring a firearm for a person that is prohibited from possessing a firearm under state and federal law. I feel like this is repetitive anyway. I would oppose it just because we already have a law about that. But as I said earlier, if you're safe enough to be in public, you're safe enough to have your rights returned. Okay. If you're trusted with voting, which affects every right under the sun, then they should have all of their rights back. And so we don't support any bill that would, once again, criminalize giving someone a firearm so that they can defend themselves. Okay. If they can't be trusted in public, they should not be in public, period. So this makes also an offense under, now, if I'm not mistaken, where is it? Section, let me get to the section here of the law, 4606. Oh, never mind. I was thinking of something else. Ignore me. All right. And that's it for that one. So that's why we oppose that one. It's really just this section right here. We oppose 2454. We ask you to oppose it as well for the reasons that we state. And then finally, on Tuesday, HB 2076 by Vicki Goodwin. Now, I can tell you right now that anytime I see a bill from Vicki Goodwin, I'm probably going to say no, because she is about as anti-gun, pro-commie, gun, government control as you're ever going to get. So usually right off the bat, if I see Goodwin's name attached to a gun bill, I'm going to oppose it, but I always read it anyway, because you never know. I mean, remember back here on, 165, generally when we get a bill from Johnson of Harris, we're going to oppose that as well. But if you don't actually read the bill, it might be a good bill. Every now and then the left comes up with a bill that you can get behind, and 165 is that, but 2076 is not. This is just another red flag bill. What this does is it closes what the left calls the so-called boyfriend loophole or girlfriend loophole. The law right now states that in order for there to be a domestic violence situation, the person must live with you as a husband or a wife or a fiance, things like that. What this does is it changes the law that if you commit a domestic violence incident, or if you commit violence against somebody, an individual whose relationship to or association with the person is described in here. In other words, boyfriend, girlfriend. Okay. If you go and read the family code, that's what these sections are. Husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this makes essentially, if you are convicted of an offense under Class A misdemeanor, then guess what? Now you're going to become a prohibited person for carrying. So this just closes what they call the boyfriend loophole. And as you know, we are opposed to expanding gun control against anyone. If you're safe enough to be in public, you're safe enough to have your gun rights reinstated. All right, guys, those are the bills that are going to be heard on Tuesday. Generally on Tuesdays, here's what happens. Here's how it goes. We asked, you probably want to be there at about 8 o'clock. If you keep, let me show you this. I'm going to bring this over here. I'm going to show y'all how to. So if you go to capital.texas.gov, this is how you can follow bills, and you can get emailed anytime there is an update to these bills. All you've got to do is come over here. You'll create under my TLO. You'll create an account. I think I did a video on this before. You'll create an account, and you can follow lists. So when you go to the home, for example, and we want to look at where my bills at? There we go. Let's do 165. So House Bill 165. Hit go. Here's 165. If you look up here, you can create bill lists and you can add to the alert list. If you really don't want to worry about maintaining lists, really that's just for people who are trying to keep up with or educating others. All you really would need to do if you want to be alerted on different kinds of bills and what's going on with them, when they're moving, when they're having hearings, you just hit add to the alert list. Now, this is already on my alert list, so it's going to tell me when you click on that, it opens up this window. I want any category. So, it starts from just getting enrolled, if it's signed in the Senate, if there's conferees, reports, House enrollments, when it's referred to a committee, when it's scheduled for a hearing. Where was that? There it is. When it's scheduled for hearing, all those kinds of things. But I just put any category because I want to know anytime this bill, HB 165, is moving or there's something happening, I want to know about it. So I click OK. Now it's going to tell me this has already been entered in your category. So I don't need to do that because I've already got that. Now, if I go to my TLO and I go to my alerts, here's all the bills that I'm looking at. I mean, this is, if you see, and there's only a couple of them that, but these are all the bills that if there's anything that gets tracked, that's happening with this bill, I will get an email saying it's been referred to committee. It's scheduled for a hearing. It's scheduled for a vote. It failed in committee. It passed in committee. It's now in calendars committee, or it's scheduled for a floor debate. Anything. So all of those bills are right here. Now, HB 28, I don't even know what that one was. It's probably not a gun bill because all I really wanted to know with that was when is there a hearing. I probably don't care that much about this bill, which is why I don't really want to track it from start to finish, but I do want to testify on it. The other thing you can do under home, again, if we go to, and then what I also have, if you want to create bill lists, here's the bill lists I've got. 2023 bills I oppose, 2023 bills I support. These are criminal acts that they're creating. And so, these are certain bills that I want to watch. If it's about justice or accountability, in other words, rights type issues, I put a note here. Like, for example, one of the bills in there is about swatting and fake 911 calls. I already testified on that bill. And then there are a few school issues that I care about. And so I've got my own little school. And then, once you've got these populated, you just hit run. And so, for example, these are the 2023 bills I oppose. And so you got 22, 9/11, 2077, 1617, SB, blah, 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 blah. So these are all the pretty much gun bills. These are all the anti-gun bills right here. Look at this. Look at this, folks. These are all the anti-gun bills filed this year, this session. Right? I'm still scrolling. Anti-gun bills right here. Now, look at this. Bills I support. These are generally these are the pro-gun bills, but there are other things in here. A much shorter list you're going to find. I don't support many laws. There you go. That's it. Because I think we've got enough laws. And most of this stuff is victimless crimes anyway. So anyway, you can create those lists and, you can name them whatever you want to name them. And that's how you track these bills. If you want to look also, let's see, for example, the House Select, we go to committees. Where are my committees? House, where? Not committee membership, committee meetings. Here we go. Upcoming meetings. And that's Monday. Here's Tuesday, March 21st. We're looking for the select committee. Here we go. Oh, this is good. This is good. So if you want to go on Tuesday, you don't need to be there until 2 p.m. That's when they're going to meet. The select committee on community safety, which is where all the gun bills are going, you don't have to be there until about 2 p.m. So it's going to be an afternoon thing. But a lot of times you'll have to be there at 8 a.m. and then you might be there until 2 or 3 in the afternoon waiting for your bills to get heard. So, and then just so you know, let me get back over to that. There it is. Oh, dang it. Here we go. It is E2012 is the room number. So it's at the very bottom basement, the lowest you can go in the Capitol. Well, the lowest that the public can go to in the Capitol. It's in the extension area. So the north part of the Capitol, and it's going to be in room 012 on the very bottom floor. All right. E2 is the very bottom floor. 012 is the room. 2 p.m. is when these bills are going to be heard. And with that, folks, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Let me make sure I've got all the, if there were any questions here. Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha, Tom. Or Tony, I guess. Yeah, just more gun control. Okay. Yeah, like Alec Baldwin. Exactly. Yes. Yes. Wow, you were so ignorant, says the guy that hides behind a fake name there. And yet I just explained everything. So obviously I'm not ignorant because I know what these bills mean. All right. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. So if you've got any questions about other bills coming up, let us know. I will do a video every time some bills are coming up that I think you'll want to know about. Not just gun bills, but other bills that are about freedom. If there's a bill that you want to know if I'm tracking and you'd like me to keep on top of because it's something of importance, let me know as well. You can email me, cj@cjgrisham.com, cj@cjgrisham.com. And if there's a bill you think I should be tracking or you want me to read or you don't understand what it means because they made it so confusing, I will answer that for you. In the meantime, you guys have a safe and free weekend. It's been great talking to y'all. If you're going to go to the Capitol on Tuesday, I will see you there. Otherwise, I'll see you on my next video. Take care, guys. I'm out. Let me close out with one of these intros.